I'm back from the Norwegian mountains just to do what I do best, buy books. My name is Øystein and I'm trying to become a bookworm, and welcome to this April book haul. I hope you have had a wonderful Easter or holiday or just April in general, and I'm glad you're here. I think we'll just kickstart this thing with Jules Nesbø's The Police or just Police. This book I bought just because I haven't read any of his books yet, and Police is the second highest rated on Goodreads. I thought it was the highest rated, of course, when I bought it. This is the 10th novel in the Harry Hole series, and crimes happen. I don't know how much more I'm going to say about this book. Well, that's not correct, because I'm not going to say anything more about this book. As you might gather, I don't have high expectations. I don't know if Jon Nesbø will be my kind of author, but I'm a Norwegian, so I probably have to read him at some point. The next book I got from my mother because she finished reading it, and it's Linn Ullmann's Girl 1983. This has not been translated yet, I think, but this is a highly popular book in the Norwegian bookstagram community, so I've seen this cover all around. I don't think this book is a book I will enjoy very much, but at least I feel like I'm a part of the present and the now. And this book is about a woman that looks back at her life and the woman she was, and it's said to be kind of confusing, at least from the people I know that have read it, say that it's not as clear-cut as at least I would have wanted it to be for me to enjoy it. I don't like too confusing plots and thoughts drifting all over the place. The book is said to explore many genres, and it also takes place in both Oslo, New York and Paris, so I can understand if with all these elements it might be hard to follow at some points. As I said, I do not know if this book is for me, but I find the concept of reading books that people around me have read to be very enjoyable. I love talking to you in the comments, but it's different when you can sit down for a prolonged period of time and talk about a book, which I've found much enjoyment in doing lately. Maybe that's reason enough to read it. It's not very long, pages look like this. So that's something I can appreciate. The next book is a book that I've talked about earlier, and it's Stefan Annem, Victim Without a Face, the first book in the Fabian Risk series. This is of course a crime fiction novel, and I don't know if it's wrong of me to talk about these books in this way, but I feel like when I'm picking up a crime fiction book, I feel like it's enough just knowing that it's a crime fiction, and I'm not going to indulge myself in reading about the book at all. I'm just going to try it at some point. So I have nothing to say about this one either, just that it's the first book, and that's an important thing if I'm going to be hooked on a new author or series. But Easter didn't bring any crime fiction into my life as I thought it would, so still haven't started this book either. The next book is something completely different, and it's Ludvig Holberg and a collection of 4 stories. 2 of them I've already read. For those who do not know, Ludvig Holberg is a very famous Norwegian or Dane, or that was pretty much the same thing when this was published in the 18th century, and I really enjoy 2 of the texts that I've already read. They are funny and they're very critical to the society he lived in. I think what I like about the stories is that they're often very fairy tale-like in how strong traits the characters have, and they're often very funny, which always helps. I feel like this is an author I could grow closer to on this journey to become a bookworm. Also, it's not that often I see Ludvig Holberg's books in the bookshelves in the thrift stores, so I needed to buy it. You know what I mean. So all the books in this book haul I've either received from my mom or I found thrifted. And when thrifting, it's easier to find books that are similar to books you have seen before. Your eyes are naturally drawn to them. And one thing that's easy to draw your eyes to is this. It's The Penguin. And this book is by Richard Bentall, and it's called Madness Explained, Psychosis and Human Nature, and also a picture of Van Gogh on the front cover. I've been meaning to read more non-fiction this year. that's one of my goals. And I think it's very much fun to find books that you haven't ever considered or thought of or found before, and just thinking that they speak to you in a way. So this book really spoke to me, and it has a lot of graphs, so I can feel that I get educated while I read about people going mad. And I've talked about this book several times on this channel, but When We Cease to Understand the World really got me, and I've been thinking about it all the time, just because it's a book about madness, that as well. So maybe that's a thing I like, but I haven't thought I would like before. Also just love the cover, and I'm happy I found it. And when speaking about books that you recognize the cover to or see something familiar in, it's Rachel Cusk. And these kinds of books are easy to spot because they are so similar. The problem is that this book outline is in Danish, and I refuse to read Danish. Not refuse, but it seems more difficult than it's supposed to be. So if there are any Danes watching this channel, message me if you want this book. Rachel Cusk is an author I heard about first when I was trying to read some of the Booker Prize books for last year, where she was nominated or longlisted, and I do not know if these books are for me. They seem very floating. Is that the word? High-flying? I'm just translating Norwegian words to English to see if it has the same meaning. I do not know. But this is the third book in the Outline series, and now I have to find the two first books, and then I'll consider reading this book. If some of you think that I should read this first, just comment in the comment section. The next book has been on my radar for quite some time. Published in 1952, this is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, and it's hailed as a masterpiece, and it's said to have changed American literature. So that seems very, very exciting. And I'll read something for you. Not only does Ralph Ellison's nightmare journey across the racial divide tell unparalleled truths about the nature of bigotry and its effect on the minds of both victims and perpetrators, it gives us an entirely new model of what a novel can be. And that last part about a new idea of what a novel can be, I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm afraid that it means that it can be kind of chaotic. And this next part sort of underlines what I fear. The narrator of Invisible Man is a nameless young black man who moves in a 20th century United States where reality is surreal and who can survive only through pretense. Because people he encounters see only my surroundings themselves or figments of their imagination. He is effectively invisible. I think I'm going to need some years before I read it, but at some point I'll get to it, but I might need some training for my eyes and brain first. Not only did I receive a book from my mom, but I also got a recommendation, and that's for Buzz Aldrin, What Happened to You in All the Confusion by Johan Harstad. This has been a popular book in Norway and also a TV series, and I learned a new word today, and it's pop-saturated, which I believe is all about how many pop culture references is in this book. This book goes all over the place, and it's about choosing to be a number two, which I find to be an interesting thing to write about. For those who do not know, Buzz Aldrin was the second man on the moon, and that's why this book sort of is about him, but not. Because I've been bad at reading Danish authors earlier, I had to buy this book, and it's Out of Africa by Karen Blixen. I don't know if she later called herself Isak Dinesen or if that was a synonym. That is one of the hardest words I know. It was published in 1937 and was later adapted into a movie, and it's her own reflections and memoirs from her time in Africa, Kenya, from 1914 to 31, I think. And more importantly, it's one of the biggest Danish classics, which is the reason why I bought it. This next part should not be misinterpreted, but this next book really spoke to me. And it's Timur Vermes, Look Who's Back. I saw this book and I thought, what is this? Hitler wakes up in the summer of 2011 in city central Berlin with a headache. I just find the setup hilarious, and I really do not know what to expect. What interested me was how poorly this was rated on Goodreads, so if I read this book, it will be the worst rated book on Goodreads I'll read for this year, I believe. I looked at some of the 1-star reviews of this book on Goodreads, and some of them are all about Hitler should not be joked about, but, well, I don't mind anything being joked about, really. I think if this book is funny, I think I will find it very funny, but I do not know. At least it has sold a lot of copies, and 1.3 million of those are in Germany, so I don't know what that says about the book, but I bought it. The next book is sort of linked to that time as the last book, and it's Olaug Nilsen with the title Perform According to Ability, Get as Needed. And that's my attempt to directly translate the title. And the title is linked to Marxism. In my mind, this is linked to how the left side of politics in Norway is thinking about things, at least. For those who remember, Olaug Nilsen was my first encounter with an audiobook, and I did not like it at all, but the audiobook in itself has stuck with me. I did not dislike the content, I just disliked the concept of the audiobook in the format of that book. But Olaug Nilsen really seems to be a hard-hitting novelist, writing about what I would call social, realistic topics. And this is no different, because this is about a family that really struggles. And I saw somewhere someone describing it as this novel being about what happens when what you need is breaking all limits. There has to be a better way of saying it in English, but I think my point gets across. So basically about a family where they encounter sickness and really struggle. I think this will be a book I will really enjoy, and I will be very interested to see how I react to her writing when I've only tried listening to one of her books. So I will be eager to compare the two experiences. That book was also published in 2020, so a very recent book. Over now to an author I've talked a lot about, and it's Fredrik Backman, and Beth Marie was here. And I've actually started reading this book. It's about Beth Marie. She's 63, and we meet her when she's trying to get a new job. And it's a bit uncertain why she's getting a new job, or getting a job at all, because she has been at home while her husband has been working. But she finds herself in a very small town and suddenly coaching a football team without actually having any knowledge about football at all. And she's also very, very socially awkward, I would say. Very socially awkward. I do think I'm going to read all Fredrik Backman's books at some point. Then it's Lars Kepler's The Hypnotist, the Swedish couple which has Lars Kepler as their pseudonym. This is also the #1 book in the series of, let's see, Jona Linna, or how you pronounce it. And yeah, like I said earlier in the video, it's another crime fiction. At some point I have to read some crime fiction just to see how it is. I realize now that many of these books are Nordic authors, but that's mainly because I've thrifted them, and the next book is no exception. It's Dag Soulstar with the 17th novel. Haven't double checked that name, but I'm guessing it's the 17th novel. That's at least directly translated. And it's about a man called Björn Hansen, which apparently is a part of another novel as well. And he's trying to find back to his son after 18 years without any contact. And it's just a way of me getting into the Dag Soulstar universe, which is one of the bigger names in Norwegian literature. I've also recently been out eating dinner with a big Dag Soulstar fan, so she made me really want to read this book as well. The last book in this book haul is a book by Bernardine Evaristo, and it's Girl, Woman, Other. She was the joint winner of the Booker Prize in 2019 with Margaret Atwood. And what's the point of having a joint winner? Can't you just decide? But that seems like an other video. It just frustrates me that they chickened out. Teeming with life and crackling with energy, a love song to modern Britain and black womanhood. Girl, Woman, Other follows the lives and struggles of 12 very different characters. Mostly women, black and British, they tell the stories of their families, friends, and lovers across the country and through the years. I really enjoy the concept of having 12 stories or many different stories within a book, just because it feels more fast paced, and if the author manages to sum all these stories up into one or tie them together, I think I could really enjoy this book. It's also a topic I do not know that much about, and that's also one of the reasons why I really wanted to read the book. So that's the last one. In this last part of April, I have tried avoiding the thrift stores and have managed, but it's just too much fun. If you have strong opinions about these books, please comment below, because I'd really like to hear your opinions. And if you're interested in checking any of these books out, I will leave links in the description. And I hope you have a wonderful April, spring, day, time of day when you watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!